Hello everyone, this is Chef Chino. So for today, we're going to talk about the tools and equipment that we'll be using for our bread and pastry production. So I'm going to show you one by one each and every tools and equipment, and I'm going to tell you what are the purpose or the uses of the equipment. So first, I'm going to start with the measuring tools. So for the measuring tools, we have this one. This is called dry measuring cup. So using this, we measure dry ingredients such as flour, sugar, cornstarch, and so on and so forth. And our next measuring tool is the wet measuring cup. So usually we measure oil, water, milk using this measuring cup. So as you can see, there is a label, or it is graduated with the quantity. So we have 2 cups, 1 cup, or in ounces 16, 12, 8, 4. On the other side, we have in ml. So 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, and per pound. Okay, next is we have this little measuring tool, which is measuring spoon. So we can measure liquid or solid ingredients using this one. Okay, the biggest measuring spoon is 1 tablespoon or 15 ml, and the smallest we have 1/4 teaspoon. So it's about 1.25 ml. So ayan, it varies from different sizes. And next measuring tool is this one. It measures the temperature. It is called oven thermometer. So it measures the temperatures of the oven. Okay, it has 2 units, Celsius and Fahrenheit. Next tool is we have the kitchen timer. So we can input the number of minutes or hours that we are going to bake our baked product, so that our timer will signal us that our baked goodies are done. Next measuring tool is this one. We have a scale or kitchen scale. So it measures in grams, kilos, or pound. So those are our measuring tools. So we're going to transfer from the small tools that we're going to use for our baking. So we have spatulas. So as you can see, it varies from different shape. So we have this one and the flat one. So this one is called offset spatula, and this one is flat spatula. So we use these spatulas for leveling. So for example, we are measuring flour. So the use of this is to level, para mapantay. Or for the cakes, we use this to also level the cakes. Kung gusto nating mabilog siya ng maayos, or ma-flat siya. So we use offset spatula. Next is we have this one. Both of these are dough cutters, but this one also is a dough cutter or dough scraper. So we use this to scrape the dough on the table and also to cut the dough to our desired shape or weight. Next, we have scooper. So usually, we use scooper in baking, for more specifically in cookies. So we use this to shape and also to partially weigh the cookie. So this one, I think, is 1.5 ounces. So about 45 grams for each scoop. Next is we have kitchen spoon or kitchen wooden spoon. So we use this for stirring our either sauce or filling for our baked goodies. Next, this one is a silicone pastry brush. So we use this for basting or brushing the pastries, or specifically for our breads and for our mga croissants. We use this. Next is we have rubber scraper, or sometimes they call it rubber spatula. So we use this to scrape the sides of a bowl or a container so that we can get all the remaining residues that stick into the pan. So usually, for example, we put cream. So, di ba medyo malagkit ang cream? So, we use this to scrape the cream on our container so that makuha yung exact measurement, and also to save the remaining cream in the container. And next, we have bread knife. So, we use this bread knife to cut our breads and pastry. So, as you can see, it is serrated, or in Tagalog, may ngipin. What is the purpose of the ngipin or serration? It helps to cut the bread or the pastry easily. Para siya naghihiwa, parang lagare. Next, we have this one. We have the zester, or citrus zester, or lemon zester. The purpose of this is to get the zest, or the outer skin, or the yellow portion of specifically the lemon, for the sake of the flavor. Next is we have this one. This one is also a measuring tool, and it is called candy thermometer. So as you can see, we have 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius or 225 as the maximum. So it has a label for soft pick, hard pick, and we use that label, the soft pick, which is 275, and the hard pick is about 300 degrees Celsius. We use that measurement for candies, or most specifically in sugar. So, para saan yung soft pick and hard pick, or soft crack or hard crack, soft ball or hard ball, for icings and making candies. So, that is why this is called candy thermometer. And this one, we also have a pizza slicer, or it can be considered also as dough cutter. So, the purpose of this one is for cutting doughs or pizza. So, this one is called the grater. So, it is like the zester, but the difference is the zester is more fine, while this one, we have various of sizes of the grating. So, we have small, large, and fine, and also slicing. So this is called a grater. And lastly, we have different sizes of mixing bowl. So the purpose of mixing bowl is for the mixing of ingredients. So we put all the ingredients here, and we're going to either stir, mix, or knead, and for the mixing of all the ingredients. And this one is called sifter. So the use of sifter is to sift, or to separate the fine and the coarse residue of either flour, sugar, or salt. Pwede ring baking powder, cornstarch, or baking soda. So, as you can see, meron siyang fine mesh that helps separate the coarse and the fine particles of a specific ingredients. This one is called rolling pin. So, there are different variations of rolling pin. Merong wood. This one is plastic. We have bamboo rolling pin. So, the main purpose of this one is to flattening the dough, or PPP-in yung ating masa or dough para ma-flat siya. Okay, next guys, so we have the baking containers. So, what is the use of the baking containers? So, it is a vessel that we are going to use for baking of either breads, cupcakes, and so on and so forth. So, I'm going to show you guys and tell you what is the purpose of each and every baking containers that we have. So first we have the round baking pan. So, this one is around 8 inches. So, it varies from different sizes from 4 up to 12 inches. Those are the most common sizes of the round baking pan. So, the purpose of this one is we bake the bread of the cake. So, this is the vessel that is widely used for baking the breads of the cake. Next is we have a heart-shaped baking pan. So, same as the round, but the difference is the shape. Next is we have the loaf pan. So, usually we use this for baking loaf breads or loaf cake. So, ano ba yung mga loaf breads? Yung mga tasty, usually we use this one for baking the tasty or the sliced bread. Or we also use this one for baking raisin bread. So, and so on and so forth. Next is we have the square pan. So, this is an 8-inch square pan. So, usually we bake brownies or other bars using this square pan. Next is we have muffin pan, or we use also this pan for baking muffin and also cupcakes. Next is we have the rectangular pan. So, same as the square pan, we can also bake bars using this, or even cake breads using this. Next is we have the jelly roll pan. So, the difference of the rectangular and the jelly roll pan is, first, the size. Both has the same shape, and the main difference is the height. So for the jelly roll pan, it is usually around an inch thick, while the rectangular pan is 2 inches and above. So we use jelly roll pan, kaya nga siya tinawag na jelly roll. So usually the roll or the rolls in our bakeries, or even in the popular bakeries such as Red Ribbon and Goldilocks, they use this when baking cake rolls. Yung mga nakabilog na ganon. So dito ginagawa yun. That's why it is called jelly roll pan, because usually yung mga binebake dito is niro-roll. And next we have a springform pan. So why is it called springform? Because as you can see, meron siyang parang spring inside, so that it can be adjust or it can be loosened para maalis yung bottom, and madaling maalis yung cake sa loob. So usually we use this for baking cheesecakes. So yan, as you can see, yan, naalis siya. Then ilalak lang natin para mag-stick siya dito sa ating pan, yung bottom part niya. Okay, that is it. That's why it's called springform pan. So may para siyang spring dito na naluluwagan and nasisikipan. Next is we have different sizes of pie pan. So we usually bake pies in here. So mga egg pie, buko pie, dito rin siya usually binebake. And this one is Also a baking container, or yung tawag nila dito is Pyrex, because Pyrex is a brand. Ang tawag talaga dito is temperature resistant pan. So glass pan. So it is made from glass. So pwede rin tayo mag-bake dito. So usually maraming sizes to. Merong and different shapes. May rectangle, may square, may bilog. And next we have tart pans. So we have long tart pan, or rectangular, or oval tawag nila dito, and the round. So this one ginagamit nila when baking mga cheese tarts and nut tarts, yema tarts. So usually they use this one. And this one ginagamit sa macarons. Hindi siya yung macaron na French macaron. Macarons na yung may coconut content. And this one also is a variety of a large version of a tart pan, or ito minsan ginagamit din sa mga ensaymada as a mold. Okay, this one is called the baking sheet or cookie sheet. So, kaya siya tinawag na baking sheet because manipis siya, kaya tinawag na sheet. And we usually bake cookies dito. Kasi cookies, hindi naman siya kailangan na may labi or lip dito, or like this one. Kasi hindi naman nag-overflow, or the dough of the cookies are thick. So, hindi siya kailangan ng may labing ganito. So, flat sheet is enough for cookies. That's why it's called baking sheet or cookie sheet. Okay, this one is a tube pan. As you can see, it has a tube in the middle, or yung may parang tubo sa gitna. And it is usually used when baking pound cakes, fruit cakes. So, this one is only a accent or design. But the purpose of this is to make the middle hollow, or walang laman yung gitna. So, that's it, guys. All of these are our baking container or baking pans. And next, our basic mixing tools are this one. It is called wire whisk, or yung iba tawag dito egg beater. That's why it's called wire whisk, kasi the material is like a wire. So, this one is used for manually mixing the food ingredients. Next is we have hand mixer. So, it is electric, not manual. So, we can plug this into the outlet and yun, gagana na siya. So, we have different attachment of our hand mixer. We have this one, the beater also. So, yan. So, it's like the wire whisk. So, this one is the beater. And we have the spiral. Okay, so, ito yung mga attachment ng ating hand mixer. So, the bigger version of this and the more heavy duty is this one. So, this one is called stand mixer. That's why it's called stand mixer. Kasi, hindi na natin kailangan gamitan ng kamay para hawakan. It has its own stand. So, yan, nakatayo na siya on his own. So, for this one, we have different attachments or yung mga nilalagay sa kanya para tumulong maghalo or mag-incorporate ng ating ingredients. So, first, this one is the whip or whisk. So, it's like the wire whisk. And next, we have the paddle. So, that's why it's called paddle, parang pang sagwa ng bangka or pang paddle. And lastly, we have a dough hook. Kaya tinatawag itong dough hook because para siyang hook or hook talaga siya na pang masa ng dough. Okay, so these are our mixing tools and equipment. So next we have, this one is a cooling rack. So after we bake our goodies such as cupcakes, cakes, and even cookies, we put the finished product here so that the cooling process will be fast. Kasi as you can see, meron siyang paa elevated on the table, so the air will circulate from top and bottom and sides of the baked good. So next, we're going to proceed with our decorating tools. So first, this one is called cake table or cake turntable or turntable. That's why it's called turntable or cake table, cake turntable, or cake base, because it is rotating. So tutulong sa atin ito when designing the cake. So hindi na natin kailangan pumunta sa kanan, sa kaliwa, or dun sa likod niya para ma-designan yung cake natin. We only need is to rotate the table so that all the sides of the cake will be decorated. So when decorating cake, we have this one. So this one is called icing comb or suklay or pansuklay ng icing. So icing is the outer part of a cake. So icing is made from different ingredients such as egg whites, sugars, either creams, and so on and so forth. So ito yung nagbibigay ng jagged effect or jagged look sa gilid ng mga cakes. Pag nakita kayo ng mga cakes na pinebenta sa labas, makikita nyo parang may mga guhit-guhit siya. So, ang ginagamit doon is this one, icing comb. So, it helps level the icing of the cake and also to put a little decor or texture on the icing. And next, we have the piping tip or the tip. So, as you can see, may iba-iba siyang shapes. So, meron siyang pang flower, may pang dahon, or even a simple swirl lang. So, ayan, it varies from different shape and sizes. So, ayan siya. So, it is called the tip. And next, we have other tips pa. So, we have plenty of different designs of the tips. And next, if we have a tip, we must have a piping bag or pastry bag. So, the purpose of this is we put the icing inside so that we can pipe it on the cake. So, yan, ang magkatambal is this one and the tip. So, meron pang minsan ginagamit na coupler. So, this one is called the coupler. So, the purpose of this one is to hold the piping bag and the tip together. So, I'm going to show you guys how to install a piping tip to the piping bag. So, I'm going to put the coupler inside. So, coupler has two parts, the thread and this one, basta nasa loob to ng ating piping bag. So, this one is the thread or the lock of the coupler. So, lalagay lang natin tong coupler sa loob ng piping bag. So, yun. As you can see, wala pang butas ang ating piping bag. Mineasure lang natin kung hanggang saan yung coupler. So, we're going to cut the piping bag. So, yan. As you can see, lumabas na yung coupler. Then, next is we're going to choose a tip. So, kuha tayo ng isang tip. So, kuhanin natin yung basic lang na swirl tip. So, yun. Igaganyan natin siya sa coupler. Dun sa thread ng coupler. Lalagay lang natin yung tip sa thread ng coupler. Then, ite-thread lang natin sa ating piping bag. So, hindi siya maghihiwalay. Ayan, so as you can see, hindi maghihiwalay yan. Sturdy siya. So, yung ibang technique naman na ginagawa nila, dinidiretso na nila yung piping tip dun sa loob ng piping bag. Pero minsan, pag nasosobra ng piga, yung piping tip lumalabas eh. So, it is safer to use coupler. Okay? Then, our last decorating tool is this one. We have cake decorating airbrush. So, it's like a paint. So, we use this one, food coloring. So, it is food grade. Hindi siya pintura na pinapipintura sa bahay. And, ginagamit to specifically sa food or sa cake. So, ayan. So, it's like a kit. So, para siyang airbrush talaga. Yung pang makeup, yung pang kotse. Kaya lang a small version. So, yan, buksan lang natin. So, as you can see, we have the compressor. So, this one is the compressor or ito yung nagpo-provide ng hangin sa ating airbrush. And this one is our nozzle. So, ayan, ito yung pangbuga ng paint and air. So, dito lalabas yung paint and air. And this one is the container for the coloring. So, yan. It is, electric operated tool. Okay, so lastly, we have saucepan. So, that's why it's called saucepan. We usually cook sauces. So, pwede natin itong gamitin when cooking sauces and fillings for our bread and pastries. So, saucepan. And lastly, we have the double boiler. That's why it's called double boiler. Kasi, two parts siya. So, this one is the bottom part and this one is the top part. Dun sa bottom part, we put water. So, pag kumukulo yung water, meron siyang steam na napoproduce na nakakapagpainit sa ating top pan. So, we usually melt chocolates here in our double boiler or make sauces that is egg-based. So, that's the purpose of a double boiler.